Meeting at Chappaqua Library. The emergency exits are to my left, my right, which is your right, your left. They're clearly marked. Um, Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are going to go into executive session. The trustees are going to go into executive session. Oh, we need a
We
motion.
should make a motion.
Thank you. I need a motion to go into
I move that we go into executive session.
at 7:01. Perfect, let's go.
So what that means, you guys, is that we're going to leave the room for a few minutes. You guys stay put, and then we'll be back. Okay. Oh. Sorry.
We don't need the agenda, right?
I can make it. Okay, no problem. I'm going to make a motion to re-enter the board meeting at 7:17. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think you do. Well, no, you don't take a vote, but I think there has to be a second.
No, George seconded it.
Yeah.
But we don't have to take a vote to come back.
No. I
Okay.
believe so.
Okay,
Oh, did I?
but,
Nope, never mind.
so the approval, okay. We're going to hear from our public comments. If we can just wait a moment, I'd love for Brian to come back. He just had to run to the bathroom. Okay. Mhm. Thank you. I'd like to remind, public comments are limited to 3 minutes. So whoever would like to start, we're thankful that you're here and we look forward to hearing from you.
You need a hand with that?
We should probably have her on a mic something, right?
Yeah, well, I put a chair there if you wanted to sit there, and then you could lean into the microphone.
Yeah, and then speak into,
Yeah.
speak into the mic.
Would you just please announce when you're
Yes.
done who you are and where you're from?
Does this have to count out of my 3 minutes? Okay. My name is Karen Basic. I'm from the Chappaqua Garden Club. I am on the board and I serve the Garden Juniors program. And I'm going to just distribute these to you. Thought there were 5, but if I'm wrong.
George and I can share.
You could share too.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know what, we're going to pause your time. I didn't realize you had
We'll
so
make
much
sure
to
you get your message
hand
out.
out.
Don't worry.
Yes.
I tried to explain this. I was prepared for a podium, not a chair. I apologize.
Oh, it's okay.
Not exactly sure. And this is it. Okay. Okay. Should be ready. I think I'm ready. Okay. So thank you very much for allowing to be here. The Garden Club has had a long relationship with the library, the Garden Club 100 years, as well as the library. And we were approached years ago by the Friends of the Chappaqua Library to celebrate the 100 years of the Chappaqua Library. And from what I distributed, you can see we had planned 3 events to plant in celebration, and we were very careful about how we chose those plants. We walked around the property with Dennis Corelli, Master Gardener. Melanie and I walked around with him. We looked at the sites and tried to pick something that would be botanically appropriate for the site. We came back and we walked around with then President Andrew around, looking around to make decisions about what would be best. Yes, the library director. And we discussed options that would be available. And there were 3 sites chosen. They had the area in the backwoods where we would plant bluebells, an area in the front where we would plant pussy toes, and another area where we plant milkweed. And we were told that we were given choice, but then he decided they should all be done. So as you could see from our advertisement, it said that this was to leave a lasting mark for future library visitors. And the children were able to plant one and take one home. So 50 bluebells were planted, 50 pussy toes were planted, and then we had 8 milkweed planted. And the program was very successful. And when the next spring came, and you can see from these photos here that this was in the space where the tree has now been planted. There's the children and myself, and we were planting with them. And then over here in the back was a little guy planting some of the bluebells, and then here the milkweed in this photo. And our plan was what we were trying to think about how at the high school they had a space like this.
Pam, if I can interject, we're at 3 minutes.
No, we started,
3.
I think we can make an
Yeah,
exception.
that's 5 minutes.
No?
Oh, thank
Another
you.
3.
correct. We have that same. Thanks, Christine.
I had practice for standing. Sorry. And we were trying to replicate what had been done, and I told you, Jen, I would give this to you later. So we were very saddened because we heard that the pussy toes had been destroyed this year in the garden, and it was sad particularly because this was the first year when we really had flowers coming out of the pussy toes, and also it was the first year when we had caterpillars come. These are the American lady butterfly caterpillars, and this is a host plant for them. This was part of our whole pollinator project. As I found out, the library outdoors is a classroom environment. As Belle comes over and they look at the stream, I met the Trout Unlimited people there. And so we were trying to create a pollinator habitat outside for the children, which has been used by the library. Here, our pollinator habitat has flourished, so much so that we wrote a grant we won the grant. We beat 77 other garden clubs, and the money from that grant was used to plant more flowers this year. And we had an event where we invited the community again, and Mercy read to the children from the library book that we had donated by the Chappaqua Book Festival, who also donated $500 towards this garden. And then the children planted more milkweed in the front of, and here you can see this little fella found a caterpillar on this. And so the pollinator garden at the library, the children's library, they started to bring in the caterpillars for the children to observe them as they transformed. They even named them things like pistachio, macadamia, hazelnut, and the children got to watch that. And it's part of our program that we've been here for a very long time, before I was even here. And we incorporate literature and help the children to learn about nature as well. And so that's why we were particularly worried when the pussy toes, and here's a pussy toe here, were destroyed. Yes.
I don't think any of us would disagree. We appreciate the value of the program and pollinator program. That's specifically what it's called. And the kids all enjoy planting. So we agree that it's important. It's unfortunate what happened. Is there something specific that you would like to ask of
Well,
the board,
we're
or-
concerned. We're concerned because it was quite devastating for us when the pussy toes were removed, because so many of us here have invested so much in this program. And specifically for me, it was planted by the children. So when it was removed, it was something that the children had planted, And so it was taken away from them, but it was given to them as a legacy. So my main reason, and I told our people here for coming, was to ensure that our other garden, which has been really embraced by the community, that would not be taken away also. Because these gardens go through transition periods. Sleep, creep, leap, we often say. First year's a little tough. It's getting established. The second year, it's more established, and then it grows and thrives. And now we've gone, it's remarkable. I know Victoria was going to say something too. We've gone from having 5 monarchs the first year, 5 monarch caterpillars the second year, 10 in the third year, which is really remarkable. And it plays into our environmental classroom here. So my main reason for coming tonight was to ensure that the garden would not be destroyed the way that the pussy toes were.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving us the time.
May I say
course.
something?
Oh,
Okay.
you want to say something?
Yeah, first of all, I'm so grateful that you guys showed up here a couple of weeks ago and that we could talk about this. And I do want to apologize again for the lack of communication. I should have done better to be a better communicator. I thought we were all on the same page, but that was a lesson learned for me to never make assumptions about anything. And so moving forward, I will certainly consult with you guys to the best of my ability. I can't promise you that we'll always be able
No.
to accomplish the same goals, but I do promise that I will communicate better with all of you. And as far as the pollinator garden goes, on the other side, as far as I'm concerned, that's yours. So that's yours. And we'll work together on that to make it look like whatever it needs to look like in the future, within the constraints of what we can do here as the library.
Well, that's the communities under the stewardship of the garden club
Mhm.
and our children's area.
Yeah,
First and foremost.
yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to say that, and I just wanted to reiterate that, I am sorry about how this played out, and I hope that moving forward, things will be better. And I think they will be better. So,
And too, because for us, we could have come to remove the plants.
there are
we
still
did,
some there, so they're not all gone. And I know that that's not what you want to hear, but there are still some there.
I will also say that, this was a priority of the Building and Grounds Committee. Jennifer, this was not Jennifer's decision. I think the timing took us all by surprise because the vendor acted more quickly than anyone expected. But, we really wanted the corner, that particular corner, and flanking the entrance to the library to be something that was a little more magnificent than the small plant. There absolutely should have been better communication all around to allow the plants to be removed. And as Jennifer points out, some of them perhaps still can.
okay.
Thank you.
I'd also like to say, and I know that all of our librarians feel and our board feel strongly about this, that this board greatly, and our library director greatly appreciate the contribution of the garden club, the flowers, that are enjoyed by the community visitors to the library each and every week. It's really a wonderful contribution. So thank you all for that.
Would somebody else like to speak? Thank you.
Okay, I'm challenged by the 3 minutes, so I'm happy to come back another time, talk offline. So hi, I'm Victoria Alzapidi. I'm a resident of Newcastle. I've lived here for almost 18 years. My background, I'm a former nonprofit attorney, a Title IX lawyer, started a nonprofit working with middle school and high school students, gender positive boys and girls working together on gender equity. So I bring that kind of education perspective. I respect what you do. I love what you do. And then I went to the Kennedy School. I have a master's degree in public administration, so I also bring the policy perspective. When I moved here, I fell in love with nature. And I grew up in Brooklyn and then lived on the Upper West Side, and I'm amazed at how much nature we have here. I'm also very saddened by how many people use pesticides. I have to say, one of my asks right off the bat is I'm very puzzled every time I walk around the school, the library, to see pesticide signs. And I'd love to talk with you about that because I know the school district has made the commitment to not use pesticides because they're so harmful. And the town has made the commitment to not use pesticides. So I really hope that you would kind of make that triad, jump on the bandwagon. We can give you so much information about why it's dangerous and harmful to kids and to the environment. Because of that concern about pesticides, I started an organization and co-founded Newcastle Healthy Yards, which focuses on stopping pesticide use, putting native plants in your garden, not using gas leaf blowers because of all the particulate matter and danger, et cetera. And I also co-founded the Newcastle Pollinator Pathways Coalition to help folks realize that pollinators, especially monarchs, are so endangered. Not officially endangered, but we're getting there. I'm also the chair of the Conservation Board at Newcastle. I'm not here on behalf of the Conservation Board, but I just want to frame myself as saying, I'm in this, deeply in this. I've taken extensive coursework, more workshops than you can imagine. And the work that Karen and Melanie and their team are doing is unprecedented. Very few towns have people who are willing to volunteer who have this level of expertise and commitment and passion and brilliance. Talk about magnificence. This to me is magnificence. So I really think one additional ask other than the pesticides is maybe Karen or Melanie or Melanie can be on the committee that you mentioned, the grounds committee. I would love you to think about some formal way to have their voice and be at the table. Because it's hard, you know, in your own lives. When you're not part of something internally, it's difficult to advocate for externally. So I would love to see that happen. I do think, I don't know if you're aware, but it really was traumatic to have you think it's plants, and I kind of gave you my background as a lawyer and public policy person, because it's a serious issue. And, it's a huge ecological issue. They have planted so successfully these pussy toe plants that are one of the only host plants for that butterfly. Basically, if it's a host plant, it means that that butterfly can only lay their eggs on that plant, because when the babies hatch and you have these little caterpillars, they physically, biologically can't digest any other plant material. So that's why monarchs are kind of the gateway drug, or so to speak, the gateway butterfly for nature for kids to learn, because they can only eat milkweed. And they're so beautiful, and we know we have to save them. So this is an example of kids putting in these plants and now seeing them eviscerated. So one of my next ask is I actually would like to see those put back. I know one of you said that there are still some there, and that's great. I really think if we could restore it, I understand, there is a lot of pressure to do things that are quote unquote beautiful, that people think are kind of mainstream landscaping. I do think there are ways, you could actually have a beautiful planter with some of these other plants. I mean, I could help you, in whatever way, on a volunteer basis, to think about what those are. I'm sure these folks can help with that too. I would love to see those put back and celebrated, because the fact that they got caterpillars is very rare. I know many people who have planted pussy toes and have never seen a caterpillar. So there's something magical about the exterior of this building. And I personally have the chills right now, because I think it is a magical place, and it's for the kids and the adult. We love the library. Our community loves the library. And I just think it sends a really strong educational message. And the environment, I mean, we all know, look at the temperature outside. We know that we need to support the ecosystem, and native plants are part of a healthy environment, frankly. So I would love to see them put back and celebrated, and maybe some awareness raising. I know there's some awareness raising that these folks do and that you do also, but I would love more awareness for folks to realize, because it's an opportunity. It's so successful to have 10 monarch caterpillars this past year. Many people didn't see a monarch all summer. I mean, they're really becoming rare. So I believe those are my main asks. The pesticides, to really consider that on a policy and make a commitment to put Karen and Melanie and any of these other folks who are wonderful too on a formal committee, and to bring back the pussy toes, and obviously to leave the garden with the milkweed as is, and the bluebells, the Virginia bluebells as well. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
for all the work you guys do.
Yes, echoing we all here are so grateful for everything that the Garden Club does. And the suggestions, Victoria, are fantastic. And we are one community. So just thank you. Thank you for bringing things to our attention. We really appreciate it.
I want to see if there's anybody on the.
Amy, is there anybody online? Yeah, okay. Um,
Well, in order for that to happen, we would have to go.
Oh, we might
on
have
the
to
Zoom.
lower the screen.
Robin to the rescue.
Robin to the rescue.
Once a month, and it's always posted on the library's website. The meetings are open to the public. Oh, you're welcome.
We have elections every May for the trustee, for the board as well.
It sounds like, you probably could sit on another committee.
Hand went
Oh, the
down.
hand went down?
Okey doke.
Okay, thank you.
Pam, if I can respond on one point.
Of course.
So Karen and Victoria, those were excellent comments. Thank you. And you should know that the Building and Grounds Committee also meets once a month. And the purpose of public comments is for us to take that into consideration and go back as a board. But I can respond to one point, which is the use of pesticides. And when we underwent an RFP to investigate possible change of our grounds management, not utilizing pesticides was absolutely part of that RFP, with one exception. We did hire a vendor, Save a Tree, to work with some diseased trees. So that was, and I think it is 2 trees, the large maple out by the turn and I think it's a crabapple in the circle at the front of the library. Those were really battling pests. That was a one-time application, and they're monitoring it to determine if additional applications are required. But to our knowledge, Jen and I can check as follow-up to make sure that the terms of the RFP are being followed.
Thanks, Jen. Okay, moving on, acceptance of, oh, hi. Sure.
Denise, do you want to sit by the microphone?
Yeah, you guys talking to the mic, Denise.
Will you just say who you are, please?
You're on TV.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, I'm Denise Minson. I am the head of adult services here at the library. And I just wanted you to know that, in case you don't know, that we have something called a Library of Things that is headed up by Amy Berger. Mostly she's doing this amazing work. We have now portable DVD players and portable CD players, because sometimes there's a movie that you want to watch and you don't necessarily want to pay the money to see it. And we have the movies here in the library, so now you can watch it on a DVD player. But also the most recent thing she did, one of the more recent things is she bought an air monitor. So a patron came in and was thrilled to know that she could borrow an air monitor. Amy helped her, and Rebecca started with her. And then Amy said that the person was, that the husband recently had a medical problem. So she wanted to check her indoor air quality and thought it was fantastic that she could borrow from us.
Thank you.
So,
I have a question.
okay.
So is it that patrons ask for certain things? Like did in that specific incident about the air monitor, was it that a patron had asked for something?
I guess,
You're saying what drives the selection of the things?
Correct.
I think she might have known. So we have it on our website. We have a special, click on to library of things. And also, Amy's been promoting them on social media. So somehow the person found out and came in to borrow it.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
that.
Thank you. Is there a place to suggest an item in the library?
You could tell us at the reference desk.
Thank
Sure.
you. Thanks
Mhm.
for sharing that.
Okay.
I
Thank
think
you.
a lot of Amy's inspiration comes from sustainability. So
Yes.
rather than like all of those movies going into a landfill, we have a DVD player. So if somebody doesn't have a DVD player, they can use that. So I think that seems to be what drives her from what I've gathered in conversation with her.
Yes, and with the CD audiobook collection, because a lot of people are used to that and don't want to hook up to their phone. But now their new cars don't have CD players. So now they can borrow this and listen to the book in the car anyway,
Yeah.
So, yes, yes.
That's nice too. That sustainability push is completely in line with our strategic plan.
I like the
Exactly.
Outdoor Explorers kit for the little kids.
Oh, yes, Mr. Lunetta's bag there, backpack. Yes, that's available. And she bought walking sticks to go
Oh,
along with it. And we also, our museum passes, some of them are for outdoor museums and
Right.
places. And so she ties that in and says to come and borrow the walking sticks for when you go off to Storm King or something like that.
That's fantastic.
So,
That's great. Thanks,
Mhm.
Denise.
okay.
Thank you.
just wanted
Thanks,
to-
Denise. That's great.
Okay, we need to move to the acceptance of the minutes of the September 23rd regular meeting. Jen, you want to make the motion?
I move to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion about the minutes?
No, it's good.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. John, Jen, any vote?
Oh, sorry. Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
all in favor? Okay, finance report, George, take it
Yes.
away.
Okay. Just one quick thing on the library agenda. It says, I move that the board approve the September treasurer's report. It should say October.
It was October.
I know, but I'm saying on our agenda, we're going through the items. Let's see.
Oh,
Roman
it says
numeral
September
eight.
and then October.
It says September. It
Yeah.
should be October.
Yeah. True. We'll make sure that's
Under
reflected
here,
in the
right?
minutes.
No, here.
See, it says
Yes,
September and then
okay,
it says October.
Thank you. Here,
Yeah.
The
Thank you.
motion says October.
all right, I appreciate that correction. Thank you.
The motion says September on my copy.
No, you're right.
No.
So the motion is for an
though.
October.
Acceptance of September.
So we'll-
I move
we'll
that the
change
board
that.
approve.
The
October.
October. There's two,
It's- There's dissonance there.
yeah.
But the
That's for
report
for the
says
minute,
October.
Right. I'm
So
sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
right. So that
That's-
should also say October, right?
that's
Right.
October.
Correct. Duly noted.
So we can approve the report.
okay.
All right, okay, treasurer's report, back to the treasurer's report. Looking over the treasurer's report, there's nothing remarkable, except there are a couple of things that are nice improvements. The testing of the transactions that were tested, we're down to just two did not have approval signatures. And that's a 70% reduction from last year.
That's amazing.
That's great. And for the 80 transactions that were tested for August 2024, only 8 did not have approval signatures or insufficient supporting documentation. That's also a 90% reduction from last month. So that's some, much tighter ship in terms of those items.
Work by the business department.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
George?
of course.
That testing, beginning in January, we're not going to do that every month, right?
No, we're going to go to quarterly.
Quarterly testing, right? Just wanted to remind.
I didn't,
Yeah.
and that's another thing I
Yeah.
wanted to mention, that it says here in the finance report that starting in January and Rocky Smith's monthly testing will be performed quarterly. I thought we were terminating it sooner than that. We weren't waiting to do it every month until January. I thought that's what we had said last meeting.
Correct. We're not going
Quarterly
to do it
began
again
in
until
October.
January.
Oh, it seemed to me the way it's phrased, it says starting in January, NS monthly testing will be performed quarterly,
Oh,
meaning that it's still being done monthly until
yeah,
then.
they didn't come this month, so.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's just inaccurate the way he phrased it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think January will be the first quarterly test.
Okay,
Is the meeting.
okay, all right, good.
And there, they'll be testing the December 2024 transactions,
They'll be testing whatever
Everything
they,
since. the
Whatever-
last-
whatever-
whatever they want.
whatever they want. Got it.
And the
In
minutes.
January, they will test December.
And November.
Right,
'Cause they didn't
Everything
come
since
this
the
month.
last report.
Correct.
right. Got it. Got
So
it.
each report now should be covering 3 months. Right,
Mhm.
okay. And let's see, there's one more thing. I'll make sure I get through all my notes here. Okay, there are, the amount of checks that are outstanding, this is, as I said in the past, this is just standard procedure. We have about 13 checks outstanding, but that's not remarkable. That's pretty much where we are every month. And for the expenses for the year, 29.53% of the total budgeted expense have been recorded, and a third of the fiscal year is over. So, I'm sorry, quarter of the fiscal, no, third, right? We started in July, August, September, October. Okay, so that's a third of the fiscal year, but we've only expensed 29%.
Mhm.
So we're certainly within the correct boundaries of where we expect.
And just to note, some of those items, like the insurance, we pay all of that up front.
Okay,
The fees to WLS, we've paid half of that up front. So we're paying more than a quarter
right.
for
Right.
now. Yeah.
Just a correction, that would be 3 months, so a quarter, so 25%, unless I'm
Right, I'm sorry,
misunderstanding.
July, August, September, October, right?
Oh,
4
Gotcha,
months?
gotcha, you're right, you're right. We're October.
Okay, and that was it?
This may be a question better for the buildings and grounds report, but, and I was following up on the comment that was made, a public comment about the fact that we have had a very mild fall and who knows what our winter's going to look like. Are we going to save on fuel bills?
It would be great if we
Yeah.
did.
I would imagine that we're going to probably have a nice savings,
Mhm.
given the fact that the fuel bills will be.
Yeah, I mean,
lower.
whatever we don't use, we
Yeah.
won't pay for, so.
Right. It's something to think about. I'll follow that number as we go through the months,
Mhm.
see where we end up. Okay.
Then again, we might eat it up in air conditioning, right?
Right.
You never know. Let's see what happens.
Now we put solar panels on the roof, George.
Yes. Great,
We actually have a couple,
okay.
Okay.
So.
More.
Can
like
I
3.
make a motion?
Please do.
Okay, I move that we accept I move that the board approve the October treasury report prepared by Naraki Smith, including the bills as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, Jen. Okay.
President's report.
The president's report is tiny, very short report this month. Work with Lothrop continues to be made on the building assessment and children's room. Jennifer Dadio continues to be the lead person on gathering reports and plans. We look forward to being presented as the time comes. On December 11th, myself and Jennifer Dadio will be taking a training together on effective library signage. And also included, not written in my president's report, Amy, I'll throw an addendum in, is that I'd like to make a motion to move trustee roles from January to January to June to June,
Mm.
To align with the.
to align with the budget.
That'd be July to July.
July to
How
June.
much July to
Is
June?
it July 1 to
July
June
1 to June
30th?
30th, right.
Okay, so to move to July 1 to June 30th to be in line with the budget, the budget year, the fiscal year.
We would have to I'll have to double check, but we may have to change the bylaws, so we can research that and come back next meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
John?
I support.
No.
Oh.
Can we make a note to double check the bylaws?
Yeah. Oh, I'm
on
sorry.
that? Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
absolutely. I'm
not
sorry.
putting it.
I wasn't
Um,
tracking. Yes,
Do I have a
I will
second
check the bylaws.
for my motion?
She wasn't asking, she was telling.
Is there a second for
I'll
the
second.
motion? Okay. Discussion?
So this vote is just pending a review of bylaws that
Correct.
I will
So-
have done by the next board meeting.
So for discussion, how it's been since I've been on the board since May of 2022, that the trustees roll from January to January, but we think that it would be better to be in line with the fiscal year. So
When the term starts.
when the term starts, right, when the new trustees start and when our new budget year starts. Okay.
Yeah, so my recommendation was to better align the officer roles with the budget so that we better feel ownership or take ownership of the items in the budget that correlate to the different roles and decision-making.
Yep, thank you, I think this will better serve us as trustees. Are we ready for a vote, or is there any more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous, Jen? Okay, and that's the end of my president's report.
So, I should have said this, I guess, before we voted. Is that going to cause the new positions, if there are any in January, to be terminated June 30th, and we have to
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Done.
Okay, moving on to Jennifer's report.
Apologies, to be clear, so are we voting that we're going to have a stub period of January 1 to June 30th
Correct,
for the officer position?
correct, for the officer's position of 2025.
Great. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, any last thoughts? Okay,
Joke. So we're currently working on a couple of different grant applications. We're in the process of wrapping up the New York State construction grant for the new AV equipment for the theater. We've got a formal letter today announcing that we are receiving the first 90% of that money, which is a little more than $40,000. I'm hoping that check will be in the mail very soon. And I just completed the final paperwork that the state requires. So that last 10%, which is roughly $5,000 or $6,000, should be coming shortly after that. We're still working on the Bullet Aid grant that Senator Harkin's office had recommended us for. That was over $10,000. But there's a number of hoops we need to jump through that the state is requiring before they will consider us. So we're in the process of doing that. And I wanted to acknowledge Amy Caprellian for doing a lot of background work and a lot of legwork so that I can just get this stuff to the state.
Can we also just
Sure.
compliment Senator Harkin on his service? I know that he was not successful in his campaign in November, and he was served this library in the town of Chappaqua, Newcastle, very well. So I'd just like to publicly thank him. Yeah.
We're still working on the buildings assessment. I met with Bill Link today, as well as Amy, to go over a draft. We are asking for a couple of more things from Lothrop, and then we should have a final report, I'm hoping, by the end of this year. That'll be presented to the Buildings and Grounds Committee. And what we're asking for is for them to prioritize things that need the attention the soonest, things that can wait a year or two, and things that can wait a little longer than that. Bill also very smartly suggested that we ask them to also clump different projects together that make sense. So if we were going to do a building project on the raised patio in the garden, that we don't just do that, because if that's the priority, but we do the whole courtyard
Mhm.
at the same time. So we're still working on that. We're also still working on the children's room renovation. I think we're getting closer. I got some feedback from the children's room, and I spoke with Marilyn Reed from Lothrop today, and we're going to talk about next steps in a few days. So we're making progress in that area. As far as personnel, I want to acknowledge Marge Perlin and Robin Friedman, who have been a huge help in helping me navigate through the employee handbook, which we went over with the personnel committee. We all agreed it was a good document, and that is currently now with our attorneys to make sure there's nothing egregious in there. So hopefully we'll hear back from that soon.
Yes, we have expressed with hopes to have it all finished and completed and signed off legal by December, to end the year.
Yeah.
To
That would be
take
great.
effect 1/1,
That would be
Correct.
great.
ideally, yeah.
Correct.
We've been doing a lot of professional development. Recently, Denise Minson, who was just here, recommended the Westchester County Department of Community Mental Health. And they did a presentation for us on their mobile crisis unit, which I don't think any of us really knew a lot about, but they're pretty amazing. So we might actually wind up doing a program for the public on what they do. So kudos to her. And we have more trainings coming up all the time. Like you mentioned, we're going to be doing that one on signage. And I think Robin and Denise might also be in on that as well. That would be great for moving forward. And last but not least, it is budget time. And so the beginning of next month, we will start looking at the budget for the 25-26 fiscal year. And I'm looking forward to getting my teeth into that. And that's all I have for now.
Thank you
Sure.
so much. I really love that the policies will be reviewed as a training.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, that's going to be
fantastic.
great. Because even though we just did the facilities policy, which took a long time to get that language the way we wanted it to be, every time we get an inquiry, I'm still going to Robin or Amy or Marge and saying like, okay, I just want to make sure I understand this, correct? So it'll be really helpful to have the whole staff go through that with us.
Jen, I wanted to ask you about this a couple of weeks ago. We had a conversation about, I don't know, 2-3 months ago about reducing the number of computers that adults were using.
Yes.
And because of the cost issues that were there, and that has been put into place now, correct?
Those 5 computers that we're gonna get rid of are gonna leave in January.
They're gonna leave in January. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So
Where are
then
they
we'll-
going?
Back
Because
to
the contract
WLS.
is 1/1.
Yeah.
Right.
So do we
Got
get
it.
a credit for that
We just,
We saved.
or reduce?
yeah,
Got
Okay.
it.
yeah. It's a cost savings.
And that'll be wrapped into the budget calculations that you're going to be working on.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. And we can have a conversation about how that goes as we move along. Right.
Yeah, yeah, and we can always
Right.
course correct if we find that that was not a good move to make.
Right.
We can always bring them back.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Including mid-year.
Including mid-year. Yeah. I mean, I spoke about it, I know a couple months ago. I don't want to belabor the point, but
yeah,
we may come back to it.
could be.
Yeah.
Moving into committee reports, we'll start with finance, George. Anything in addition?
Yeah, nothing to add.
Okay, great. Buildings and grounds, Jen?
No, nothing beyond Jennifer's comments.
Okay. Personnel committee, John?
We just had a meeting, back on Election Day on November 5th, right? I remember that day. And we had a very thoughtful, and again, I want to echo the comments that Jen made regarding the work that Robin Friedman and Marge Perlin put in on the employee handbook. I think there's some very good changes, including changes that I think reflect good stewardship of the community's resources regarding how we're doing compensation and how we're doing benefits and stuff. So once it comes back from the lawyers, we'll be able to present it to the community. But I think there are some really good things there that reflect positively on how the board is taking its responsibilities seriously regarding its assets. Yeah.
Thank
So I'll
you.
leave it at that, yeah.
Anything with policies and bylaws?
No, other than the fact that I'm going to have some homework to go check the bylaws for the
Thank you.
change of board terms, but other than that, nothing regarding policy. We've just come off a big policy review, so I think it's going to be quiet there for a little while.
Communications Committee, I'm going to make a motion to dissolve the Communications Committee as of November 18th, 2024. Do I have a second?
Because we need
Because,
to make that part of it.
Not presently needed.
because there's not presently a need. Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Discussion? These ad hoc committees are formed at the discretion of the president, and at this time, we don't need it. We haven't needed it for the past year, and the communications people at the library, Amy, Tao, have just been doing a phenomenal job, and we will leave it to them. Okay, any other discussion?
I think the communication with the town has been excellent. We've made great outreach in terms of Jennifer and team have made great outreach with the Newcastle Historical Society, for example. We've identified that there needs to be better communication with the garden club.
And Rotary.
And we'll work with that.
Mhm.
And Rotary has been a great source of outreach as well. So thank you for that.
I guess, Jen, one question I have is as we come up to the budget vote in May,
Mhm.
and the board needs to present the budget to the community for a vote, that responsibility, I guess, lies with the president, or
It's been the president who presents.
then the
to board.
president's responsibility? Okay, just so we're clear on that will be now that communication
Jen did a
piece.
great job last.
Right.
Thank
That
you.
was-
That-
You were only in the job for like.
A minute.
Well, I only
You
bring it,
meant the library director.
Yes,
Right,
I'm
not-
sorry.
Yeah.
Pam was like,
I know,
I bring it up only because
I
in
can't
other boards in this community, communication between the board and the community, not this board, other community boards have had their challenges when it comes to communicating around budget season. And I just think we need to be cognizant of that there's a particular need around that run up to the budget vote for communications to be crystal clear with the community, because we are asking them to vote on giving us their
I
tax
would
dollars.
say that I agree with you, and the communications committee wasn't really participating in that process. It
Right.
seems to be a well-oiled machine of getting that.
Right.
The trifold mailer out and
Right.
then the director presented.
Right.
but I think it's a great point. I think
Right.
this 2025 may be a year for heightened communication.
Yeah, and we see what happens when sometimes communication
Mhm.
breaks down and budgets go south, and it's not a pretty picture.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
so please
Yeah.
keep us on top of that as the time comes, John. Okay, are we ready for a vote? All in favor?
Right.
Aye.
We're voting on the communications committee.
Correct.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, George, I just don't see if you're a hand up or down.
Yes, it was up. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
thank you. All right, so that's passed. Before we close tonight, I was remiss in sharing that the draft of the 2025 report, library report, the county does a report from WLS, which is Westchester Library System, and it's a report that's generated, and they rank libraries. And they rank in areas of circulation and programming and card holding in et cetera, et cetera. And we ranked and it's a multi-page report. And we ranked in the top 5 to 10% in basically all the categories. So we have a lot to be proud of. And thank
Here,
you
here.
so much, Jen, for just
It's
keeping us tops
Oh.
where, as we.
And to our staff,
Yeah.
because we had
Oh,
that sort of ranking
incredible.
through COVID, which is
Mhm.
incredible.
Really
Great
incredible.
staff.
Yep. Oh,
the
yes. And
staff-
it's, when you see, like, it's, again, in areas of programming, like to be number 3 and, number 2, and it's very, very exciting.
Yeah.
So,
But not to belabor the point, but I think it's not obvious to the public that Jen has done some rejiggering as director of the staff And it's by library standards, it would be considered radical changes, and they've all been phenomenal.
Thank you.
Moving Marge and Robin and Amy,
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank you for
saying
saying
that.
that.
it's really made a huge difference.
I-
We can see it.
Thank
So.
you. But I mean, I can't take credit for the member report. Like that all was stuff before I got here. So it's all the staff. The staff is amazing here. I've said
Amazing.
it's like being at the
Right.
Olympics.
I
So
Next
love
year,
that.
next year we'll be in the top 3%.
There we
Right,
go.
Right. Okay, so you have to keep us
no
in that.
pressure,
Right.
no pressure.
Right. And on that note, we have our next meeting, I believe it's
December 16th.
Thank you, December 16th. And I make a motion to adjourn this meeting at 8:06. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any
Yes.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Donnie voting?
Aye.
Okay.
Yep, I'm
Thank
voting.
you. Thank you all
Very good.
so
Thank
much
you, everybody.
for
Thank you,
coming.
everyone.